everybody, we've got this bread and honey time lapse for you today. I'm working on pastel matte paper. It's quite small, 20 centimeters by 23 centimeters, and I'm working on the white pastel matte paper. I really enjoy working on the white. It's got a lovely velvety texture, not like velour, but there's something about it that's really soft versus gritty or corky. Like the sand colorway is quite corky, so I really enjoy working on the white paper. Just by the by, something a bit unusual and a bit different for me. I really enjoyed doing this background, and I loved the color scheme. I love the color of the amber mixed in with the blue greens. I think it just makes for a very harmonious, calming, homely sort of painting. So as always, starting with the background, you can see in the reference photo down at the bottom there, you've got blurred trees and shrubs and everything. So I just added that in, but I added a lot more blue greens in mine. As I said, because of the amber, I wanted the yellow and the blues to play nicely together in this piece. So that's why I've enhanced the blues. So this image I generated using an AI program called Midjourney. It's brilliant. I've done probably about 5 paintings now, and I really enjoy it. I think when you're strapped for reference or strapped for time, to set up your own still life, or perhaps you don't have a jar of honey lying around that looks like this, I think it's a wonderful tool to be able to use in order to create reference photo, and to make you feel inspired so that you want to paint. I think it's really good. Anything that inspires you. And prompting in my Midjourney, if you don't know what I'm talking about, for the Midjourney bot, you have to have prompts. So you tell the computer, if you like, the system, what you want. So you'll say, I want sun shining through a jar of honey on a wooden table with a freshly baked loaf of bread. And then it will spit out a few images, and then you can narrow it down to get to an image that you really enjoy. Okay, so enough about that. Let's move on to pastels. What am I doing? So as I said, started in the background. I used a lot of Unison's Blue Earth range, and then starting with the jar, the honey jar, lots of Giraud pastels. Now, as you can see, I've put in dark reddy browns, oranges, and yellows to get that glowing effect, using a mixture of Jack Richardson as well as my, as I said earlier, the Giraud pastels. Also some pastel pencils, just so I can get the finer details. That black pastel pencil is really awesome. It's by Cretacolor, and they call it a chalk pastel actually. It's a pain to sharpen because it's so soft. And then, it keeps breaking, even though I use a Stanley knife. But when it does give me a nice sharp point, it's just the bomb because it's so lovely and soft. So I've started on the bread here, going in with some dark browns, using quite a bit of Unison Dark 4 as well as Grey 13, one of my favorite dark colors to use besides the Terry Ludwig's. So you can see really building up the bread with lots of different browns. We've got orangey browns, reddy browns, and then even some of this orange. So the honey, we've got the sunlight coming from the back through the honey, is radiating almost like a candle onto what's around it. So that's why it's important to make sure you get some of that orangey glow onto the bread as well as onto the table. Now, how I work as a process, I will go in, make some marks, put in some dark marks and some midtones, go back in, putting some more dark marks, like you can see me doing now. It's a process of layering. Dark, mid-tone, light, dark, mid-tone, light, until I get the painting to a place that I'm happy with. So you can see in that glow, I'm adding yellows as well as oranges, the same as what I added into the honey jar. Also, I should have mentioned, it's important to remember that when doing or painting glass, you can always see what's behind the glass. So if you have a look, you can actually see the edge of the chopping board. I've put that in with like a lighter yellow. Sometimes we forget to do things like that, but painting glass, you can always see through the glass, basically. So that's just a little detail that's easily to look over. So just put in the curtain. There's like a curtain in the background. Everything's very, very soft. Remember, if you've got hard edges, it's going to bring it forward. So if you soften everything out, it's going to melt into the background, which is exactly what I want for the curtains. So these white flowers, to me, they look like Queen Anne's lace, or over here in England, I'm pretty sure we call it cow parsley. I need to have a look and see if they're the same thing. Actually, I'm not too sure. But these little white flowers, I haven't used white yet. I've gone in with sort of like very pale tinted browns and tans, as well as very pale aqua blue, bringing in a little bit of the blue that's in the background, in also to the flowers. And then putting in some of their stems using quite a lot of Giraud, and again using very dark greens and then mid-tone greens. As you can see, I have got my reference photo up right next to where I'm working. I find it easier for me to work that way because then I can really see shapes, and yeah, it just works for me, and that's what I do. So you can see there, putting some red, making sure I've got the red and the orange, again going in with reddy browns, oranges to get that glow, that honey glow that's bouncing onto the table and onto the bread. So the part of the painting that was really didn't work, it needed quite a bit of rejiggling, I should say, was the napkin that the bread is sitting on. If you can see, there's these two kind of triangular shapes down there on the right, and when I'd finished the painting, or when I thought I'd finished the painting, those two shapes were glaring at me, and it was just really not good. So you will see I do edit it towards the end. So I'll go back in after I thought I was finished, and I get rid of one of those triangular shapes and makes it much nicer. Also, another thing I should say, I had to darken up the napkin quite a bit. So your brain knows that we are painting a white napkin, but if you have a look at the reference photograph, that napkin is a lot darker than you think. So my first pass actually wasn't dark enough. I had to go back in and darken down the napkin. And again, when I did that, because it's also in shadow, right? The bread is sitting in front of the window, so there's no light getting to most parts of that napkin. So when I went in and I darkened it up, everything started to look better. But yeah, just a note, sometimes things that are white, they're actually darker than you think when you come to paint them. And also, of course, bearing in mind, this is a photo. Oh, it's not really a photo. Looks like a photo. It's an AI generation. Is that a right word? AI generation? I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. So if I was sitting here in real life and I'd set up the still life, that napkin may not look as dark as what the photograph is showing. But for this purpose and for this painting that I was busy with, when I darkened the napkin down, I was like, yeah, that looks better. So the daisies, these cute little daisies, I actually really love drawing daisies. So I started off with the centers, putting in some yellow one from Unison, and then also a pastel set I really love using is the Art Spectrum Skin Tone set. It's got beautiful ambers and violets and browns in there and oranges. It's really a gorgeous set and comes in really useful because I've used those colors in the honey, in the bread, and now in the center of the daisies. And then also, of course, adding a little bit of green, because in the center of the daisies, they can have some of that green. And again, I didn't go in straight with white for the daisies. I built up in layers, and only some of the petals got white at the end. But using a lot of very pale tans, very pale grays, very pale creams, to get those daisies. And you'll see I make an alteration to the daisies as well, but I'll talk about that when I get to it. So for the napkin, you can see I'm adding it just wasn't working, and it took me a while to try and figure out what was going on, why it wasn't working. But you can see me darkening down here, and I'm also bringing in that dark blue that I used in the background. That was Unison Blue Green Earth 6. And also I added a little bit of texture to get like the weave of the fabric, and I used that with the white Creta color. Now the white Creta color isn't a very bright white, so it was perfect for this because I can get those nice sharp edges, and like I said, it's not a stark white. So adding in the glow, like I mentioned, onto the table, making sure that's there because that's what we want. It's about this honey and this beautiful light coming through, and yeah, it's about the glow. I should have called this Homecoming Glow or something like that. I'm a bit boring with my names. I just kind of name my paintings whatever they are. I should get a bit more creative. Anyway, so this is coming to an end now. I shall leave a link in the description below where you can check me out on Patreon and you can see this uploaded in real time. Anyway, till next time, thanks for watching. Bye for now.